Hi everyone, and welcome to Face Mask Monday. So anyway, I am using the ones that I just got out of my Ipsy bag. So it's a pretty lightly scented rose tea one. Pretty shade of pink, which matches this thing. So anyway, I just got this in Ipsy. Oh, Alexa, set a timer for 15 minutes. Alexa, set a timer for 15 minutes.
15 minutes, starting now.
Alrighty, so got this one in my Ipsy bag. The Super Beauty Tea Mask, and it's a rose scent, and it really does smell really nice. It's really moist. So, wishing good luck with this one so that I don't burn my face this week. And then I also used eye mask underneath this one, and it was kind of creeping me out. This one I just got, it's from the Tula brand, that I also just got in my Ipsy bag because it kind of felt like a hard plastic, which was freaking me out. But it was just in a hard plastic thing, and that's just the paper, so I guess it doesn't stick to each other. But I think you can see probably a little bit under here that it's a wrong eye right there. So it is under there. So said I could leave them both on for 20 minutes, so I set the timer for 15, just because I've been here a little bit trying to get this on. And yeah, so anyway, I changed the picture in the background, so I've got some of our puppies there. And yeah, and puppies have just always been such a big part of our life. So we will just go over some of them while we're sitting here. And if you think of anything you want to ask me or something to do in my next Mask Monday, just let me know in the comments below and we can handle them next week. But anyway, we started out with Brittany's. Well, actually, the very first puppy we had when we were married, we called him Lord Byron. And he was like a German Shepherd mix. And, you know, we didn't live in the best neighborhood in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And in fact, the kids always called it the bucket when they got to be teenagers. But so our first puppy, we only had him a couple of weeks, and he was stolen off the chain in our backyard. And yeah, we couldn't find him. We called the pounds. We just and it was a chain that, so someone actually came into the backyard and took him off. But we all had, like, it was you know, an old neighborhood, so I mean, you didn't have big backyards. It was like a piece of the pie in everybody's house just kind of merged into the middle. So we didn't get a puppy again for years after that. And of course, growing up, I always had puppies. I'm just I'm a puppy person. And one day, and my husband was always trying to quit smoking. Rick was always trying to quit smoking, whether it was acupuncture, or hypnotist, or different whatever, medicines, drugs, gums, whatever, patches. But one day he went to a hypnotist to stop smoking again. He went with some friends of his, and one of them was also trying to quit smoking. One of them wanted to try to lose some weight. And so I don't know, so anyway, this hypnotist was kind of gave him like a suggestion or something. So when he left the hypnotist, he decided he was going to become a hunter. And because he, as long as I had known him, he had never hunted or talked about hunting. And so that weekend, you know, we went out gun shopping, and you know, had to do safety courses and things like that. So he got his first shotgun. And well, then of course, you know, he's going to go bird hunting, and well, you need a bird dog now. So I mean, he wasn't going to be able to do it that season, but you know, we were looking at different breeds that were around for bird hunting. He decided he wanted to get a Brittany Spaniel. And there was a kennel that had some puppies left. He had called around, and there was one called Pride and Joy Kennels. And how can you not fall in love with a dog from Pride and Joy Kennels? So they had one dog left, and he says, yeah, I got one dog left. We're just about to put him down. He's going to be a big boy. He doesn't have a lot of markings, and yeah, so we're going to put him down unless you want him. So of course we're like, yeah, we want him. We're going to put a dog down because he's big and doesn't have a lot of markings. But I guess that's what some breeders do. So anyway, that was this one. So that we called him Sir Stetson. And we called him Stetson because part of this, the hunting thing, and Rick had wanted a hat. So he bought the hat, and the hat was a Stetson brand. So we just thought that was kind of fitting for Stetson. And then, of course, I wanted, sir. I decided to sounded nice. So, and he ended up really being a good boy and just really loved Stetson. And anyway, we met different people, and they wanted to breed him. They wanted him to be with the female. So, and that was how we got Lady Penelope. So she was his daughter right here, the one at the bottom, Lady Penelope. And yeah, so she was just a little sweetheart. And oh my God, she thought she was the alpha, and she would boss him around. And of course, as he was getting older, and yeah, she was just funny. I mean, she would take toys out of his mouth. She would he would go over there to start eating his bowl, and she would just knock it on the floor, or they'd have the water bowl, and he'd be waiting patiently to get some water when she was done, and she would finish, and she would put her paw in it and just knock the water out all over the place. She was, she was like the B word. She was funny. And after Stetson passed away, she took it hard. We had his ashes in the middle of the coffee table, and we had him cremated. And she would just put her head on the coffee table, and she made sounds like she was crying, and she was having such a tough time. And we were having a tough time too, and we'd look out in the backyard, and we were just so used to seeing Stetson run up the hill, and I don't know, he had a favorite bush that when we first moved here to Forest Lake, there were like trees that kind of did a perimeter of the land, and he would go and piddle on the same tree every day, and all of a sudden one day the tree just kind of fell over, and so we just kind of laughed about that. We had to find a new place to go, but yeah, so she had a tough time with it. So then we decided it was just hard looking out in the backyard, so we decided to move here. And she was still just really having a tough time, and she wasn't eating, she didn't want to play anymore, she didn't want toys. So then we decided to get into the Brittany Rescue. We thought that would be a good thing. Maybe we would get attached to the dog, would be doing something good, and she would have some playmates, and then, we'd foster them until they got a good home. So we were doing that, and then we just fell in love with Jaker. So we, actually, he was one that he had been tied to a tree, and this one is Jaker's right here, the Brittany up there. And so maybe they didn't think he was a good hunter. They tied him to a tree and shot him. He was full of bird shot. So he wasn't quite right. I mean, he would fall a lot. He'd just lose his balance, and never would come. They said his name was Jake, and so that's what we called him. We didn't want to mess him up because he had been from foster home to foster home, and they just said he wasn't working out and whatever. And so we're like, yeah, we're gonna take him. They wanted to put him down, and we're like, no, we'll take him. So we drove out to Maryland to get him, and he just ended up really being a really good boy. His name was not Jakers, and he was not going to come to that name, whatever you called him. But, we got to the point where we couldn't leave food out anymore because he was, tied to the tree and shot. I mean, if something came around and he had a chance to eat, he would eat till he dropped, or drink water till he, whatever. So we just kind of had to ration things, and Penny wasn't used to that. She was used to having her food in her bowl all day long, and she could go and take, and she used to she'd go and take a mouthful of food, and she'd put it in this corner, she'd put it in that corner, and yeah. She couldn't do that anymore because he would find her stashes. But he was such a good boy. We thought he was deaf, but so we got a shock collar, and we wanted one that would just vibrate, so we could get his attention. And yeah, but yeah, he was really a good boy. We really loved him, and really didn't help Penny too much because he just wasn't quite right. He didn't know what to do with toys. There was so many times we thought he's not going to make it tonight. He would have seizures and things from being shot in the head, and just such a sweetheart. I just love that little boy. But he would cuddle and just really, really sweet. And of course we just thought, oh, this is tonight. He's had a bad seizure. He's not going to make it. And then he'd go out trotting in the yard or something, and a wood duck went overhead, and he must have jumped in the feet 10, 20 feet. I don't know. He just sprang straight up, and he got this wood duck, shook it, broke its neck, and came over, laid it right down at my husband's feet. And it's like, oh my gosh, what do we do with this? It's illegal. you can't have headwood ducks. What are we supposed to do with it? You can't mount it. You can't take it anyplace. You're going to put it in the trash. They're going to find us. They're going to sue us. They're going to come and arrest us. So anyway, we were freaking out what to do with it. So we stuck it in the freezer. We just didn't know what to do with it. But he was so proud of that wood duck, and it really shocked the crap out of us that he was even that active to do it. But yeah, so he was a good boy. And then you know, we tried to get a few more fosters while we had him, but the other foster males would just keep attacking him because, like I said, that they knew something wasn't quite right with him. And we did get a few female fosters, and the female fosters and Jakers, they just really bonded. They would sleep in the same bed, and so anyway, they were really good. But we, after we lost Jakers and Lady Penelope, my husband and I decided that. Well, my husband decided we were not going to get any more dogs. It was just too painful to lose them, and even the fosters, we would still cry. I would still cry when they found their forever home. So he says, no, we're not doing that anymore. And one day I came home and there was this 200-pound Great Dane, but in the backyard with Rick, and I just didn't know what to think of him. I mean, the dog he was not healthy. You could see his bones sticking out. So even though he was 200 pounds, I mean, he just wasn't healthy. And that one was Mr. Wiggles right here. And oh my gosh, he ended up being such a good boy. We could not get him to eat. And then someone said to us, you know, have you ever tried hot dogs? And so that's what we got him go and eat. And we would I went to Walmart, and I would get like a 10-pound thing of hot dogs. We had to call him Frankfurts because I didn't want him to think he was eating another dog. I didn't want him to think he was a cannibal. And so little by little he started eating those hot dogs and hot doggies, and he loved them. And yeah, so then we would start putting them in the food. And anyway, when we lost him, he ended up getting cancer at the end. And he was 240 pounds when we lost him, so he was a big boy. And then he was also a rescue that we had got, so we got into the Great Dane Rescue. And then we ended up getting baby Eve. She was 10 months old, so she was our rescue. She was just a tiny little thing at 175 pounds. And then we ended up getting Mr. Wiggles' son, Big Earl. And he looked really big and broad, but he was about 209 pounds. But we had baby Eve and Big Earl together, and baby Eve, she had been abused quite a bit, so we never quite could get her socialized with people. Earl, he loved people. He had been from foster home to foster home, and anyway, ended up going back to the breeder after a couple of years. And so anyway, she said, you know, if we would co-own with her, and she used him for a breeding dog, and one of his litters had 20 puppies. Yeah, so we bred him quite a few times, and yeah, he was a good boy. Mr. Wiggles ended up being a really good stud dog as well. And the breeder that we went through, she actually showed them quite a bit, and they were both international champions, so they got ribbons and first place winnings. And so yeah, so that was really, really cool. But when we lost Big Earl, he had some kind of hemorrhage or something, a brain hemorrhage, and passed away in his sleep and whatever. And he was baby Eve's rock, so she was never quite the same after we lost him. Like I said, she was abused before we got her, and she was just terrified of people. We, when we went to Myrtle Beach for Bike Week, we had taken baby Eve and Big Earl with us in our camper, and they stayed at the campground with us. And so every day, you know, Rick he would go out, we'd be able to go ride for a little bit, and then he would be down for 2 days because he was just, it was getting towards the end. But so I would take baby Eve and Big Earl out for a walk, and oh my God, he would draw crowds, and I don't even know how many pictures everybody would come over and want their picture taken with Big Earl. And of course he was like 209 pounds, and I was like, you know, Wiggles was 240 pounds, and they think this guy is big. But oh, he had his picture taken, and he just loved people. I mean, if they came onto our campsite, he would growl and get very defensive. But if we were out walking around, anybody could walk up and pet him. And Rick used to take him to like the Zilstra Harley in Elk River. We would take him there with us, and for like the hog roast and things like that. And, you know, the same thing, people would just come and pet him and talk to him and get their picture taken with him. And Rick had got him some big sweatshirts, and then he still didn't fit him because he was still too big for him. Just so he even took him to a tailor so they could tailor one of the Harley sweatshirts for him to fit perfect. And yeah, so they were just all good. You know, we had really, really good luck with puppies. I've never been this long without a puppy in my life. So that's hard. So which is why when I get to take care of Mr. Griffin next door, I am so, so excited. And so anyway, that is kind of like the story of our puppies, that we got into the Brittany Spaniels so that Rick could go hunting. And then we got into, Alexa, turn off the alarm. So then we would get into, you know, the Brittany's, and we did the rescues for a while, and then we got into the Danes, that we got into the rescue, and actually, you know, adopting them and keeping them. So that was really fun. But anyway, time is up. So let's take this off, and I'm not going to put any moisturizer or anything on yet. So anyway, I lost one of the patches came off with it on. Well, this one's still got the patch. It's really, really moist. So it says you're supposed to pat it in. And I'll just rub this stuff from the rose all over my face. And I'll wait till this absorbs before and then I'll go in and put like moisturizer on. I don't think I washed my eyes too good today. I was in a hurry after I did my other video. But it is so nice just to not see a red face, and there's no burning. But anyway, so that is my Monday mask series. So yeah, so there's a group of ladies doing this, and I know I'm supposed to do like a hashtag something, but I forgot what it was called, but I'll figure it out later. And so when you click on that, it will take you to all these wonderful ladies that are doing the Monday mask. And that way too, you don't feel like you're just kind of a weirdo, because you know, when you look like this, you have to admit it is kind of weird. So anyway, I had to get rid of that fake coffee. I just can't do that fake coffee. And I have got I have to go to the good stuff. So I got my Screwball whiskey. Yeah. So anyway, cheers everyone. I hope you have a great night. And if you enjoy masking, even if you don't do it on Mondays, but just put whatever that hashtag is, and you'll see it in my title. If you put that in there, then we can click on you and join you. And again, if you have any questions you want to ask me, or topics that you want to discuss, then just let me know in the comments below, and we will talk about them next week. And I hope everyone goes out and has a fantastic day tomorrow. Anyway, stay happy, stay healthy, take care everybody, and we'll talk later. Bye-bye. I need to figure out how to get to this button. I really do. That's really driving me crazy.